We're starting to see more and more emanating out of Russia, Russian leaders, movements of Russian military equipment when it comes to the potential use of nuclear weapons, whether it's tactical, whether it's some of the larger nuclear weapons that Russia has, some that could cause even tsunamis, is what they claim, and that would make land areas uninhabitable. So I want to go right to Rick Grenell. Because he's former acting director of national intelligence, and he is former ambassador to Germany, which is part of the world which would be highly affected if Putin decides to use nuclear weapons. Rick, and right off the bat, from what you're seeing and the world that you inhabited, are we close to a moment in time where we maybe see nuclear weapons being used on the battlefield again?
Look, we really don't know. I think we should take all of these threats from President Putin very seriously. But there is a huge strategic mistake going on in Washington, D.C., and that is every time Putin talks about nuclear weapons or increasing the war, Washington's only response is increasing the war on our end and doing more military options. Where is the State Department? Where is diplomacy? When a madman and a leader is talking about using nuclear weapons, where is the UN? Where is Tony Blinken? Why not rush in? Anthony Blinken has a plane at his disposal. He can get on the plane immediately and go and speak to Putin. Joe Biden can do the same thing. I don't understand what is happening in Washington. Nobody wants to talk. They just want to beat their chest and race to war. Haven't we had enough of this?
Yeah.
This is crazy.
No, I mean, that's what I think. The vast majority of our audience, they saw the past. They are very weary of warfare and sending our troops, especially into a war with Russia, for goodness sakes. Not because we couldn't win it, but because the cost would be, and the fact is, the threat level that we'd be living under, the nuclear threat level. We are seeing now, Rick, that a train that Russia uses to control their nuclear weapons is heading to the front lines. I mean, they're not even hiding some of this. They've deployed the world's largest submarine, which carries what they call apocalypse drones. So that's not just talking about tactical nuclear weapons used on a small part of a battlefield, which could still cause us serious problems in Europe. But I mean, like you said, why wouldn't we, at this point, when we're sending all this money and resources over, we know we still have to deal with the Russians. Why do you think they just decided? It feels like we've decided we don't want to talk at all.
Look, Washington, D.C. knows only one thing, and that's money. And maybe a second thing, which is power. And so they're racing to war. I think the defense contractors are absolutely celebrating. Look, I want to be very clear about something. I've been a diplomat for 11 years. I've worked at the State Department. Nothing is better for a tough diplomat sitting at a table than having a credible threat of military action from your president, from your head of state, from your leader. I love the fact that Donald Trump had behind me when I was negotiating a credible threat of military action where he was unpredictable. No one knew exactly what he was going to do, because that helped me peacefully try to get to a point of conclusion. What we have right now is not a credible threat of military action. We have Joe Biden saying war, planning war, telling Zelensky in the beginning to get out of the way because Putin was coming. Now we're spending $12 billion plus on more war, and there's zero diplomacy going on. I don't know if Joe Biden doesn't know how to negotiate, if Anthony Blinken doesn't know how to negotiate, but this is a disaster because we're racing to war.
Yeah, but we played for people during the break who watch the broadcast online. The NATO Secretary General, I mean, he's talking about like a matter of fact that there's going to be nuclear weapons used, and NATO's. I mean, it is wild if you just take a step back and realize this is not a movie. This is reality, and yes, we can feel distant from it. I think COVID even makes us the travel bans that were in place made us all feel a little more distant. But that's this is real. These are the NATO Secretary General is talking about the use of nuclear weapons in a very real way, and in a timeliness that this could happen like at any moment.
Well, one of the things that's really troubling too is that the media only have military leaders talking on camera and on cable television. Look, I get it. We want to be prepared, and I am the person who wants to make sure that the United States is absolutely prepared. But we should also work really hard on the diplomatic front to avoid using military action, and that's what I don't see going on. I don't see Susan Rice, who's supposed to be a diplomat, and she's at the White House talking about calming things down, calling for an emergency session of the UN Security Council, getting on a plane and racing over to Putin. Why isn't Joe Biden going over and talking directly to Vladimir Putin? Talk. Talk is a tactic. It's not a goal. It's not a replacement for being wimpy. It is a tactic to try to solve problems. If you have a very tough military response and a very tough diplomat, you can get things done.
Rick, I wanted to switch a little bit gears. We're going to follow this very closely. We've got a great team on this to keep people updated because the seriousness level is just can't be understated that we're reaching this point. We're winter time. Things change on the ground there. You got the Chechen leader speaking out, so we're gonna watch all closely. But I want to get into some politics too because we're also getting close to being not far away, for just a month away from the midterm elections. And to take us into a couple of races, I know you're very involved in all across the country, but especially out west. For those of us who are on the East Coast, in Nevada and in Arizona, can you update us on those Senate races?
Look, on the Senate races, I think Adam Laxalt in Nevada is looking very good. He's 2 points up. He has raised a great amount of money this quarter, one of the best quarters that he's ever had. But his opponent, Catherine Cortez Masto, who most people have never heard of, she's been in office for 6 years, but she's there. She just announced that she raised $15 million. Now, she's 2 points down. She's been pouring tens of millions of dollars into this race. This is a flip to go from Democrat to Republican. It's very important. I don't think that she's going to back down. She's raising money like crazy. They're throwing everything they can at Adam. He is up, and we need to support him as much as possible because he can win, and this is a flip. In Arizona, I would just say Blake is only 2 points down, Blake Masters. And when you look at the field in Arizona with Kari Lake as governor and Abe Hamadeh as running for attorney general, both of these two are up. Abe is up like 9 points. Kari's up like 5 or 6. They could really help carry Blake Masters right over. So don't count Blake out. Support Blake.
Yeah, and that also, Rick, I mean, it shows the importance. I'm glad you brought up the governor's race, the attorney general's race, because it's easy to just think D.C., Senate, but in all these races across the country, we've got governors on the ballot, local races, statewide races, and they can make a huge difference too in pushing some of those the federal candidates and statewide candidates over the line. So I appreciate that update, as always, from Rick Grenell, both on his national security and diplomatic career and also his political career. He's able to deliver both for us. So always, Rick, appreciate you joining us today.